Bula, I'm Pat, and this is Pat's Postcard, an audio postcard from wherever I am. And I'm on the island of Wayasewa in Fiji. I'm talking with Alex Nguyen. We're both guests at Bill and Paula's homestay. It's a beautiful Sunday evening, and we're sitting on the deck overlooking the sea and the village of Namara. Alex is an American citizen, originally from Vietnam, who, as a 15-year-old boy, became a Vietnamese boat person, leaving his family and country out of fear. I asked him to tell me his story.
Well, let me take back April 1975 when the fall of Saigon took place. U.S. Army withdraw. The North Vietnamese began to take over the South. Life was very difficult, especially for those who have ties to the U.S. government or U.S. services in the past. So in 1985, I reached the age of 15. So that's the age of being drafted in for Vietnamese military. And because of that, my parents weighed the choices between being drafted in the military or a chance to survive and have a freedom. So they took the latter choice by sending me overseas in a boat. And there were stories, horrible stories, such as women got raped, people got robbed, people died. There was an estimated nearly a million or even a million Vietnamese people have died or had died while trying to escape Vietnam. Although those are horrible stories, even cannibalism due to hunger, but
On the boats.
on the boat. But my story, I suffered through hunger and thirst, but I have a happy ending. So,
Because we are here in
right.
the Asawa Islands of
Yes,
Fiji together
yes.
15 years later, so it must be a very happy story in the ending.
Yes,
But go
yes,
on.
yes. So this is in 1995 or early 1995, I think. Time and dates I'm not sure of, but I know where I end up. I give you a couple of facts if you need to verify. Um, this is my second trip to get out. The first one about a year before that, I got caught and I was in prison. So in early 1995, I think. So I took the second trip, and this time after 3 days, I think, because I was like really seasick. I was in a boat about the size of a bus with 90 people on top and in the middle. So the shape of the boat, both end is kind of like kind of like squeeze in, not like a bus where you can fit 90. So you can see how many people are on this bus. So about 3 days in, like speeding through the coast, then the engine died. We started to float it back, and over a day or two, we started to see Vietnam again. Everybody's really, have to say,
Depressed about
sad,
that, yeah.
depressed, disappointed, kind of calculated, what's next, what's my life gonna be. Then a Vietnamese Coast Guard boat came. I was too young then, but I was told that they came on board. They searched for money and any jewelry in exchange to take us and tie us to an offshore oil drilling and tie the boat to one of the posts. So they left. I believe the elders on the boat decided, let's make an ultimatum to folks on the platform, like, help us. That's it, help us. So they start transferring all the people on the boat onto a platform and then start dumping the boat. So about a day later, there was a big ship came along. It looks like an oil transportation ship came along and took us in. We were able to shower. It was so big that you can play soccer on it.
Wow. Must be a big oil tanker.
It was so big, yeah. And at least that was in my mind when I tried to escape, but I didn't realize I was on a fishing boat. So I back up a little bit to get to the part where we got tied to the post. So for days we were roughly, I want to say, for days, I want to correct that, I think for even close to 2 weeks that we were floating after we died. The engine died, so we ran out of food. We have very limited water, so we have one sip in the morning and one sip at night, and that's about it. And every time we see there's a little chance of rain, we get a plastic raincoat or plastic piece of plastic, try to catch the rain so that it get into a bucket so that we can start feeding people. That was the low point of the trip, when everybody ran out of food, ran out of water. And what I can remember the most at that time is I look around, I see sky touching water all around me. Although I know how to swim, but I don't know where I'm going to swim to.
Which direction?
Right. Or, if I'm even last, if the boat got crushed. Another thing that really imprinted in my mind is when I look into other people's eyes, they are physically there, but it doesn't have the soul. I don't know how to describe it. It's sort of like someone like lying there waiting for their time, and they give up just about any fighting instinct that they have in
So there's
them.
no emotion.
No emotion at all. I look around, everybody's lying there in the sun, and their eyes just open wide and look in the distance, and there is no soul, no life at all. As if everybody's like, okay, this is it.
Given up.
Right. Then later on, we keep on drifting back, and now that's when the Vietnamese Coast Guard came along, right? So that's how we got on the platform, and we got on the oil tank ship, I think. And then that ship took us to an island called Pulang Bidong, spelled Palaubidong, part of Malaysia. So I stayed there for about 6 months, and then I got transferred to Sungai, BC, Sungei, BESI. That's so moving from Pulau Bidang to Sungai BC is a significant improvement in the process where people move from the island to Sungai BC, meaning their paperwork is being processed and they're getting ready to move out.
So you obviously had to register with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees at some point to get
Yes,
into that
yes.
process of
One thing about when I left, my father gave me his U.S. Service number,
right.
and he made sure that I remember that. And when the UN workers asked for any information that they can verify, and I gave them my father U.S. Service number, and that's how that was get processed pretty quick, meaning in 6 months. And I was a minor, so I was able to get adopted or sponsored by a family in California, United States.
And then from there,
Mm-hmm.
because you've mentioned this to me a number of times,
Mm-hmm.
you're a survivor because it wasn't easy in the States, even though
Mm-hmm.
you'd got there and you'd survived
Mm-hmm.
the boat and in Malaysia, but it was difficult in the States as well at first.
Yes, it's if you can imagine a 15-year-old or 15 years old on his own, trying to make sense what the world is like and trying to um, learn a new language and culture. Everything is a shock, and growing up overnight is required. And food was scarce on the island. So to make things work, you know, um, we had to eat rats. You know, it's delicacy. Something you need to have protein. And then there's some vegetables along the damp area that we pick up, and make soup out of it. That's to make things work. When I arrived to United States in June 25th, 1985, so I was in what is called is I think it's something about government subsidize a parents, and then that parents bring me in and make sure that I go to school and well fed. I think it's sponsoring. There's a term for it. I forgot for the moment. So every year I move from one family to another. I don't know if this is by choice or by the design of the program, or because people just like, okay, I have had enough. Up until 18, I was able to stay with 3 families. After 18, the system says you're done. You're not an adult. We are no more responsible for you, so you're on your own. That quite a shock for me. I try to go to school at night and go to work in the morning. And of course, at the time, I had no skills, not much of English. So I do from dishes to busboys, just about any job that I can find to make ends meet. But toward the end, I could not do it because my minimum wage at the time was like $3.25. Wasn't enough for me to pay rent, to pay food. And I remember during that time, for days, I had just a loaf of bread and a quart of milk. And there is a store called AMPM It's almost like a general store, but at a lot of corner gas station. And I remember I spent like $1 a day. It's called 99 cents for two hamburgers or two hot dogs or the mix of a hamburger and hot dogs. So you know where I get my meals, like 99 cents. And those are my meals for the day. Sometimes I get a loaf of bread. So to make things work, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I deliver papers until 6. And then I sleep in the car until 8. I start working at the local library to glue the spine. And after that, I go to school until 11 midnight. So I got very few hours sleep. So for a year and a half, I was not, I know I can't make this. So I quit school. That was painful for me because that was the goal of my parents. Like, you gotta get higher education. But I gotta make things work for me now. So during this time, I did not have enough money. So I have to sleep in my car and go to work, sleep in my car, then ask for a couple of friends, like shower, so I can go back to work. So it keep repeating for the next 6 months until I was able to get a place, get a place of my own, and I stay. So it's been going on since. So I graduated from high school in 1989. So that was when I was 18, right? Until 1992, that was the rock bottom point for me.
When you were living in the
So
car.
for 3 years, right? I finally got a place and I quit school and I go work part-time. I work at the local restaurant, at local elementary school, scrubbing gums and remove graffiti. Until 1992, Christmas of 1992, that was hit bottom. If my life is like a stock chart, if you will, it go up and down, up and down. 1992, it hit the rock bottom. Why? Because that Christmas, I was so sick, and I got nobody.
Because all your family is still in Vietnam.
No, my two older brothers, they also escaped,
Oh, okay.
and they end up in Philippines, and they came to the United States. Because when we arrived in the United States, we are under minor. So we have to live in different homes. We can't get together. My younger brother also escaped, but he ended up in Thailand. Came, so we couldn't get together until we were 18. So they got together, except me. I'm much more independent. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this on my own, because they struggling themselves as well. So I try to prove myself that I can do this. So that's why I was able to rent a room. And that a room is just like a mattress and everything else on the floor. You can imagine. I remember a black friend of mine named Sean at the library. He gave me a small black and white TV. It's I don't know how, but the size of this, it's about 7 or 11 inches,
Yep.
portable. And I still remember him, and I just want to say thank you. Because of him, I got some entertainment to watch. So I carry that around with me. The 1992 was rock bottom because I was so sick. I was so sick, and I got nobody there to help me. And I mean, really, really sick. I couldn't get up. I'd never been that sick before. And at that moment on, I fought on and I fought on. I figured out what I want to do with my life.
And you've
And
achieved that, haven't you?
and I have achieved it.
Yeah.
And actually go even higher than what I set out for me at this point. So because of time, I just want to wrap up, perhaps next chapter. But first, I want to say thank you for other countries have taken in Vietnamese boat people. We are grateful for your hospitality, as well as we have proven ourselves to be very productive society member. And again, I want to thank you for other countries have taken in the Vietnamese boat people, and for those who are interested, just to know that Vietnamese boat people, they went through that tough time.
It
That's why
sounds so tough.
make them strong characters. So thank you for listening. Hopefully see you all in next chapter.
And isn't it amazing that we've been able to talk here together?
Yes.
Because we've had the homestay family talking in the background. We've had the crashing sea in front of us. And we've had the children of the village in Sunday school singing. And we've had the dogs barking. And we've had the geckos up above. And isn't it amazing that from being a Vietnamese boat people, you are here now with your son in Fiji, having a lovely holiday, and we're in this amazing space.
Yes, yes.
What a story.
Yeah. Thank you, Patrick.
Oh, no, thank you, Alex. That's great. Thank you very much. That was Alex Nguyen, who as a 15-year-old boy left his family and became one of the Vietnamese boat people. What an amazing story.